Singapore's history is marked by dramatic transformations from a sleepy fishing village to a bustling colonial trading post, and ultimately to a dynamic global city-state. The early history of Singapore is deeply intertwined with the pivotal role played by its first Prime Minister, Kuan Yew. His vision, leadership, and policies were instrumental in shaping the nation's path from its tumultuous beginnings to its current status as one of the most prosperous and stable countries in the world. Singapore's strategic location along the maritime routes connecting the East and the West has always been a significant factor in its history. Before the arrival of the British, it was part of the various Malay empires and served as a regional trading hub. However, it was Sir Stamford Raffles' establishment of a British trading post on the island in 1819 that laid the foundation for modern Singapore. The island thrived under British rule, growing rapidly as an entrepot due to its free port status and strategic position. Despite its economic success, the early 20th century was a period of significant challenges for Singapore. The island faced social and political unrest, exacerbated by the economic disruptions of the Great Depression and the subsequent threat of Japanese expansion during World War II. Singapore fell to the Japanese in 1942, marking a period of harsh occupation that lasted until 1945. The British reoccupied Singapore after Japan's defeat, but the war had ignited a strong anti-colonial sentiment among its diverse population. By the 1950s, Singapore was grappling with the complexities of decolonization, social fragmentation, and economic instability. It was during this turbulent period that Kuan Yew emerged as a prominent political figure. Born in 1923 to a middle-class Chinese family, Lee was a brilliant student who excelled in his studies. He attended Raffles Institution in Singapore and later studied law at Fitzwilliam College, Cambridge, where he graduated with top honors. Lee's return to Singapore coincided with the rise of anti-colonial movements across Asia. He quickly became involved in politics, co-founding the People's Action Party in 1954. The PAP was a socialist-oriented party that sought to achieve self-governance and improve the living conditions of Singapore's working class. Lee's eloquence, intellect, and determination made him a charismatic leader who could galvanize support across different ethnic and social groups. In the 1955 Legislative Assembly elections, the PAP made significant gains but did not achieve a majority. Nevertheless, Lee continued to build his influence through grassroots organization and by forming alliances with other anti-colonial leaders. The pivotal moment came in the 1959 elections when the PAP won a landslide victory, securing 43 out of 51 seats. Kuan Yew became the first Prime Minister of Singapore, ushering in a new era for the island. Lee's tenure as Prime Minister was characterized by his unwavering commitment to transforming Singapore into a viable and thriving nation-state. He faced immense challenges, including widespread poverty, ethnic tensions, high unemployment, and a lack of natural resources. Lee's pragmatic and often authoritarian approach to governance was driven by his belief that Singapore's survival depended on rapid economic development, social cohesion, and political stability. One of Lee's first major initiatives was to address the economic challenges facing Singapore. He pursued a strategy of industrialization, recognizing that the island's future prosperity depended on diversifying its economy beyond its traditional role as a trading port. Lee's government actively courted foreign investment, offering incentives to multinational corporations to set up operations in Singapore. This strategy was remarkably successful, transforming Singapore into a manufacturing hub and creating thousands of jobs for its citizens. To support industrialization, Lee focused on building world-class infrastructure. Under his leadership, the government invested heavily in developing efficient transportation networks, including roads, ports, and later, a modern international airport. These infrastructure projects were crucial in attracting foreign investors and facilitating trade. Additionally, Lee's administration prioritized the development of public housing to improve living conditions and foster social stability. The Housing and Development Board was established to oversee the construction of affordable, high-quality housing for Singapore's rapidly growing population. Education was another critical area of focus for Lee. He believed that a well-educated workforce was essential for economic growth and national development. Lee's government implemented sweeping reforms to the education system, emphasizing technical and vocational training alongside academic excellence. These reforms ensured that Singapore's citizens were equipped with the skills needed to thrive in a modern economy. Lee also placed a strong emphasis on building a cohesive society amidst Singapore's ethnic diversity. The island's population comprised primarily Chinese, Malays, and Indians, each with their distinct cultural and religious traditions. Lee's approach to fostering social harmony involved promoting a sense of shared national identity while respecting cultural differences. His policies included the use of English as the common language of administration and education, which facilitated communication across ethnic lines and positioned Singapore advantageously in the global economy. The early 1960s were a particularly volatile period for Singapore. Lee sought to address the island's vulnerability by advocating for a merger with Malaysia. He believed that joining the Federation of Malaysia would provide economic benefits and enhance security. In 1963, Singapore became part of Malaysia, but the union was fraught with tensions. Disagreements over economic policies and political ideologies, coupled with ethnic strife, led to Singapore's expulsion from Malaysia in 1965. The separation from Malaysia was a significant turning point for Singapore. As an independent nation, Singapore faced the daunting task of ensuring its survival without the economic and political support of a larger federation. Kuan Yew, however, was undeterred. In a televised address following the separation, he famously broke down in tears but reaffirmed his commitment to building a prosperous and independent Singapore. With renewed determination, Lee and his government embarked on an ambitious program of nation building. One of the cornerstones of this effort was the development of a robust and diversified economy. Lee's government continued to attract foreign investment, emphasizing sectors such as electronics, petrochemicals, and financial services. These efforts paid off as Singapore rapidly transformed into a global economic powerhouse. In addition to economic development, Lee focused on establishing strong institutions and governance frameworks. His administration implemented anti-corruption measures, ensuring transparency and accountability in government. The establishment of agencies like the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau helped maintain a clean and efficient civil service, fostering public trust in the government. Lee's foreign policy was also instrumental in shaping Singapore's early history. Recognizing the importance of maintaining good relations with neighboring countries and major global powers, Lee pursued a pragmatic and non-aligned foreign policy. He established diplomatic ties with a wide range of countries, including the United States, China, and the Soviet Union, while actively participating in regional organizations like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Throughout his tenure, Kuan Yew was known for his authoritarian style of governance. He believed that strong, centralized control was necessary to achieve rapid development and maintain stability. Lee's government imposed strict regulations on public expression and political opposition, justifying these measures as essential for the greater good of the nation. While his approach attracted criticism from human rights advocates, many Singaporeans supported his leadership due to the tangible improvements in their standard of living. Lee's policies had a profound and lasting impact on Singapore. Under his leadership, the island nation achieved remarkable economic growth, rising from a low-income country to a high-income economy within a single generation. Singapore became known for its efficient government, low levels of corruption, and high quality of life. The city-state's infrastructure, education system, and healthcare services were lauded as models for other developing countries. The social fabric of Singapore also evolved significantly under Lee's guidance. His emphasis on multiculturalism and meritocracy helped create a cohesive and inclusive society. While challenges remained, such as occasional ethnic tensions and income inequality, the overall sense of national identity and pride was strong. Singaporeans from diverse backgrounds came to see themselves as part of a united and prosperous nation. Kuan Yew served as Prime Minister until 1990, after which he continued to influence Singapore's development as Senior Minister and later as Minister Mentor. His legacy is evident in the city-state's continued success and resilience. Lee's vision of a modern, vibrant, and globally connected Singapore remains a guiding force for its leaders and citizens. In summary, the early history of Singapore is deeply intertwined with the remarkable leadership of its first Prime Minister, Kuan Yew. His pragmatic and visionary approach to governance transformed Singapore from a struggling post-colonial state into a thriving global city. Through policies focused on economic development, social cohesion, education, infrastructure, and strong institutions, Lee laid the foundation for Singapore's continued success. His legacy endures in the nation's prosperity, stability, and the collective identity of its people.